All right, come on in, come on in. What's going on? This is Instructor Mike. What's going on? We're going to go on ahead and get started with this. We're going to go on ahead and get started. I hope you all are having a great day. Got some more information to share with you. And we're going to go on ahead and get started. You can go on ahead and follow me on Facebook at Mike Brown or Instructor Mike. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Yes Mike Said It. Subscribe to this YouTube page, Instructor Mike. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell for notifications. I know I'm not the only one who checked their volume. Yes. Yes, I did need to go on ahead and start it out. Please, yes, make sure that you smash that like button and please share it to get the word out. This is going to be a very informative live, okay? So let's go on ahead without delay and get right into it, okay? Taser International, and for those of you all who are not familiar with what we're about to talk about, we are talking about the situation that happened in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, with Officer Kim Porter. We now know her name, Officer Kim Porter, who was, okay, I'll square you away. Good. Officer Kim Porter, who is an officer or was a officer with Brooklyn Center, Minnesota Police Department. Okay. She was involved in an officer-involved shooting regarding a shooting in that particular town where, I'm sorry, I need to get this door. Yeah, in that particular town where, hold on 1 minute. Okay, they're not looking for me. I'm sorry about that. I just got through finishing my office hours. I had to finish that up. All right, yes, a shooting that occurred in town with a particular traffic stop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video from that incident just so you can have a refresher as to what occurred in that incident, and we will then continue from there. So let me get to that video real quick. All right, let's go on ahead and play that. Here we go. Now, in that given situation, yes, the video is tragic, okay? And that's just to refresh your memory on the incident that we're talking about. So let's go on ahead and dive into it. The company that issues the Taser and trains its instructors, Axon International, it is now known as Axon International. They had training, and they still have training to this day, that talks about the holsters, pros and cons, okay? Some of you all had a chance to catch my previous YouTube video where I had a chance to show you that there are similarities in the firearm and the Taser, okay? If you look at this particular picture right here, you have the X26 on the upper left hand corner, the X26 in a different picture, the lower left hand corner, lower left hand corner, and a yellow version of the X26 on the lower right hand corner, and a Beretta Model 92 FS on the upper right hand corner. What are the similarities with this particular brand of Taser, or just Tasers in general, as opposed to firearms? Well, the similarities are, yes, they do have a grip. Yes, they do have a trigger. Yes, they do have sights. Yes, they do have safeties, okay? So those are the similarities. If you're talking about the physiological similarities, yes, you do hold the Taser in the same manner that you would hold a firearm, okay? And this is just to give you the refresher that you might have missed from yesterday's live, okay? And as we go back to the slide, that talks about Taser training from Taser International, now known as Axon International. You see this, and this is a slide directly from their training, one of their training versions, where you've got support side carry versus dominant side. So we're talking about support side, that is typically your left hand, because most people are right hand. Your dominant side is typically your right hand. Okay, we'll get to some of these questions in the YouTube video just a little bit later, but let's continue the training. Support side, you've got lower risk of drawing the wrong weapon under stress, hip cross draw, faster engagement on target. Okay, now the cross draw is going to be one of the main focal points that we're going to talk about in this training. Okay, but the con, which is in darker area on the support side, is weapon retention issues depending upon defensive tactics training. For dominant side, you've got higher weapon retention. Why? Because of the muscle memory or the habitually instinctive tactic of constantly grabbing your firearm, which created that habit of retaining that firearm. And so that same habit and strength of retaining that firearm can be used in retaining the Taser. But the con is even Taser International or Axon International recognize that there is a higher risk of confusion dependent upon training. And that is very important. So let's get to the Taser training issues here. We've got strong side, the right side, and that's why I have an asterisk next to that, okay? Because in the strong side, it's an asterisk. Most people are what-handed? Right-handed. Versus support side, left-handed, with the asterisk because fewer people are left-handed. You've got Axon International's recommendations, which we just talked about. But the problem that people are not considering is that Axon International or Taser International, to my recollection, and correct me if I am wrong, they have not begun to address or have not previously addressed how we've been learning as human beings versus how we learn now, okay? The brain and how habits are formed, given that as humans, we are creatures of habit. So let's dive into new information you might have missed. Let's take a look at the pictures that you see on the internet now that they have the pictures of the officer, Kim Potter. I keep saying Porter, it's Potter. Kim Potter all over the internet. Here's what you might have missed, okay? In this picture right here, which is a younger version of Kim Potter, you see her next to an officer in the same department. I want you to look at the Taser that he has on his belt. Matter of fact, let's get a closer view. The Taser that he has on its belt, right? The Taser is the X26 model, okay? And being it the X26 model, it is on his support side, okay? If you look at the previous picture, you will see that his support side is his left side. If you look at what's around his belt, you do not see a firearm on that side. His support side is his left side. But look at how the Taser is situated for deployment, for use. It is situated so that he can use it in his left hand, his support hand, which is what I strongly advocate. I strongly advocate for this. You've got support side carry, support side use. Support side carry, support side use. I advocate for this. I have used this in training and in the field as a Taser instructor. If you look at the video, a still picture of the video from the date of the incident in question, you can see the officer that was struggling with the driver of the vehicle who had resisted arrest by attempting to get inside of the vehicle. And you can see that this is the newer model X2 Taser, still colored in yellow, but it is on support side, but angled in a different position to where it can be accessed by the strong hand. You see, same department, different officers, both having it on the support side, but different ways of use. Different ways of use. Different ways of use, right? Let's look at the previous picture. Previous picture right here. Strong side carry, strike that. Support side carry, support side use. Support side carry, strong side use. Support side carry, support side use. Support side carry, strong side use. You get it, right? And it's not just him. Look at other pictures right here. Support side carry, strong side use. support side carry, strong side use. Here we go. Support side carry, strong side use. Support side carry, strong side use. Right? We can say this over and over again. You all remember the video from the incident in Virginia where the officer walked up to the lieutenant and ended up using his taser, saying you're going to ride the lightning. Let's take a slow motion view at this video. I slowed it down. Look at how he's accessing that taser. It's in his strong side use. Here we go. So he takes it back. I just reversed it back. You see how he pulled it? Support side carry. Here we go. Support side carry. Flips it over. Strong side use. Support side carry. Strong side use. Let's go. Here we go. Support side. I hate this. This is why I have always been an advocate for support side carry, support side use. Support side carry, support side use. I can't say it enough. Support side carry, support side use. Support side carry, support side use. Yeah, slow it down. I got to get you to see this. Look at what he did. And he was walking towards the lieutenant with that in his hand. Okay, I got another picture from another Facebook friend. This is him as a deputy sheriff in another place. You see, in as much as you can, right? He has his firearm on his, what appears to be his left side, and his taser on his right side. In this picture, he is left-handed. That's his dominant side. But his support side would be his right hand. If you look at the picture, you will see both instruments, the gun and the taser, are centered, or not centered, but are positioned in their holsters where there can be no confusion. There can be no confusion as to how it is used, how it is deployed. Okay? So when we begin to look at Axon International's recommendations that they have you carry your holster on support side with strong side use, the pro in this is that if you always get to use your taser, you're always in an environment where people are resisting, you're always in an environment where there's a higher likelihood that you will likely use your taser, and or you practice continuous use for that likelihood, you are even less likely to confuse under real stress. But the con is, as likely the case in Officer Kim Potter's situation, if you don't get to use the taser because you're not always in situations where you have to use it, and or you don't practice continuous use, you are more likely to confuse it under real stress. I want you to understand the difference, that there is a difference between the stressors involved in training. There's a huge difference. You think about it. When you are in training, depending upon the trainer and the training, you're still accessing your fine motor skills, right? When we're talking about real stress versus training stress, take into consideration the following: that when you're under the influence of training stress, they can't push you too far. Because if they push you too far, you might really get hurt. That's real world. And we don't want you to get hurt. We want you to get just enough so we can still use your body. Think about it. We had to go through all this just to be able to hire you. All this just to be able to get you. Why would we want to burn you in training, right? Think about it. So the training stress in a training environment, depending upon the trainer and the department and other considerations, may not be akin to real world stress, where there are no rules. Oftentimes as a trainer, we give our trainees and the scenario rules of engagement, how far you can go, because we don't want anybody to get really hurt because of the department considerations. But on that concrete pavement, in that concrete jungle, that's real stress, Why is that real stress? Because these people don't want to go to jail. They don't want to get caught. They don't care about your training. They don't care about anything that you have to say. They don't care about none of that stuff. To them, it's real. Jail is real. Death is real. Fear is real. Remember the lieutenant who said, I'm afraid to get out of the car. And then you got the officer who said, well, you should be. That is real to him. You see what I'm saying? And so when you got real world stress versus training stress, and then you've got the frequency or infrequency of department training, you're going to get different outcomes. You're going to get different outcomes. It's important to note that. Okay? So we would continue on. Let's look at certain things, right?
Questions remain. How does an officer pull a gun instead of a bright yellow taser? And would the gun feel heavier than the taser?
Under your fine motor skills, it does feel heavier than the other.
I had a chance to talk about this on Fox News, Fox 32 yesterday. It is the case that during your fine motor skills, that yeah, you can tell the difference between a heavier gun and a lighter taser. But when you're in the realness, the thickness of that situation, right? Ask moms who have produced extraordinary strength to stop someone from doing something to them or their kids, right? Under the influence of that adrenaline, sometimes what happens is when your body feels like you are about to go through a physically stressful event where you feel like you're about to lose your life or perhaps maybe someone else, your body will produce things from the sensory nervous system. It's called a sensory nervous system dump, where all the oxygen and the blood rushes to the major muscle groups to support a fight or flight response. You see what I'm saying? And so in that fight or flight response, you're going to get a heavy degree of adrenaline. Why? Because your body is prepping itself for the fight or the flight that it knows it's going to have to endure. And so your body will then go from fine motor skills where you can talk, text, and do finite, precise things to gross motor, bigger picture, tunnel vision. Right? Where you lose a percentage of your periphery and you begin to lock in on the target of that aggression, right? Oh, how quickly some people forget these things, okay? So then when we get to what, if anything, could be done to, make the situation better where you are even less likely to confuse. Let's take into consideration this, right? Support side carry, support side use. Support side carry, support side use. What's the pro of this? If you always get to be in an environment where you get to use your taser and or you practice use, you are less likely to confuse the use of the taser versus the firearm under real stress. But what's the second pro? Retraining the brain to form a new habit, meaning that you are going to have to do more repetitions. And I know this, having been a firearms instructor, still am a firearms instructor, that I tell my students that failure is a part of success if you learn from the failure. One of the three biggest ways or the three biggest teachers in life is failure. When a student experiences failure under stress in that training environment where a person ran towards you faster than you could pull out that taser, and you get that person to then touch you, that is a stress that you then feel, and then the failure you then feel, which then leads you as the student to learn by your physical failure and enforce the need for more training, even increasing the less likelihood to confuse a real firearm versus a taser under real stress. If you advocate for support side carry, support side use, support side carry, support side use, not support side carry, strong side use, but support side carry, support side use. Here you got two officers in the same department. One has support side carry, support side use. The other has support side carry, strong side use. that will increase the likelihood, if you carry it, support side carry, strong side use, that increases the likelihood of confusion. And she's not the only one, and neither is he. This is a picture from another department. This is a picture from another department. You even got Chicago officers who I've seen do the same thing. And then you got Chicago officers who I've seen do the thing where they carry it the way that I suggest. Support side carry, support side use. Here you've got the video of this officer in Virginia in this controversial video. Support side carry, but what did he do? Flip to strong side use. Now, I see you need more guns. No way she can get those mixed up. I'm not falling for it. It's nothing for you to fall for. I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to educate you. Whether you learn or not, I don't really care. Here we go. See, if it's angled in a way where it's support side, it's hard for you to grab it with your strong side, because if you grab it with your strong side, look at how you're grabbing. But if you grab it with your support side, right, and then you see your firearm is with a whole different hand, it's harder, need more guns, harder for you to confuse. Watch this. Support side, strong side. Strong side, support side. I'm just saying. Here we go. Now, let's get to another topic about using chiefs as experts. Police chiefs as experts. That's funny right there. You got two different types of chiefs. You got your administrative chiefs, and then you got your operational chiefs. Your administrative chiefs would be someone like Chief Arredondo from Minneapolis. Someone like Chief Arredondo from Minneapolis, right? Here we go. Someone like him, he is an administrative chief. And I'll show you in a hot minute what that even means. Sometimes you even get administrative bosses, like the lieutenant right here. I know. What would give you the reason to be able to assert such a thing? We're going to watch in a minute. You know, yesterday on Fox 32, or not yesterday, actually this morning on Fox 32, there was a chief from Des Plaines, Illinois, right? A suburb of Chicago. Now, to my recollection, he used to be a Chicago cop. But there was a chief this morning who had an opinion that was different in certain respects. I agreed in part and disagreed in part. Had an opinion who was different, or that was different, from one that I proposed. Let's take a look at that.
On the background, the emotions are up. The adrenaline is flowing with the officer. They're looking at someone who is actively resisting an arrest, and the emotions, not emotions, but the adrenaline gets flowing, and you perceive the threat. However, I would look at, when was the officer trained with a taser? When were they initially certified? How often, or when was the most current recertification? And based on the video, it looks like the department mandated, or convention in the department is that the officers wear their tasers on their offside or weak hand side, specifically to avoid confusion with the firearm. Also, the tasers are bright yellow in color. So as the gun, as whatever is in the officer's hand comes up into her line of sight, she should have recognized that it was not yellow. And there's a significant weight difference between a Glock handgun that's fully loaded and a taser. It's about a 16 to 18 ounce difference.
All right. Well, Bill Kushner, former police chief of Des Plaines.
So then when we begin to look at what he said, or listen to what he said, let's go on ahead and listen to the testimony of Chief Arredondo and the lieutenant in this given situation. Here we go.
Now, as the police chief, I assume that you're not out on the street day to day arresting people.
That is correct.
Can you just give me a general sense, when's the last time that you've actually, I don't mean to be dismissive, but actually arrested a suspect?
It's been many years, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for being here today.
You're welcome.
So you testified that you have been a Minneapolis police officer since June 5th, 1985, correct?
1985, yes.
And prior to that, you were with another agency.
Yes,
And when you initially came on to the Minneapolis Police Department, you were a patrol officer, correct?
yes,
And you were a patrol officer from 1985 to approximately 1993 when you took the sergeant's exam and were promoted.
yes,
And so it's fair to say that since 1993, so 27, 28 years, you've not been on patrol in the city of Minneapolis.
correct.
Your assignments have been investigative in nature, correct?
Yes,
And generally speaking, an investigative role is more of a follow-up type role, right?
yes,
So an incident occurs on the street, it gets assigned to a detective, and then your job is to investigate the circumstances of that incident, right?
yes,
And so it's fair to say that since 1993, you've not, other than perhaps for ceremonial reasons, you've not worn a uniform on a daily basis.
well, I don't know if I would call it ceremonial.
Well,
I've
I
had
mean-
to wear a uniform.
You have to wear a uniform from time to time, but your daily role is as a clothed police officer, correct?
Yes,
And you're not out patrolling the streets, making arrests, things of that nature.
no,
All right.
Now, I'm getting a chance to read some of these comments, and I find them hilarious. I really do. And by some of these comments, I find it even more funnier, okay? But we're going to address those comments rather shortly because I want to stay on topic with the lesson here, okay? The chief said that emotions were running high, okay? And that adrenaline is pumping and that, split-second decisions often have to be made. But then he said, well, the taser was yellow and you should have been able to identify that, the taser is bulky, as you have said, Pata. How were you not able to identify? I find it funny that people who make those assertions were often like Chief Arredondo, that he hadn't been on the streets and made an arrest in many years. The resistance is different from what it used to be before. People are more emboldened than what they used to be before. People now have more disrespect for the police. And I get it. I understand why. I'm not saying this right or wrong. I'm just saying I'm talking about facts that are present. People have more disrespect for the police than they have had before. Just this morning, a Texas officer was shot multiple times on a traffic stop. Just like in this situation, a traffic stop turned into something deadly. You see what I'm saying? So there's more boldness now. When you look at people saying that the emotions were running high, this man was resisting arrest. When it's in the defense of a police officer, I find it that people use the argument to support their conclusion that the officer was right, that, well, the emotions were running high. You're going to the amygdala. You're going to your gross motor skills and the sensory nervous system dump, and you have to make split-second decisions, and the officer wasn't thinking, they were just acting. They had no other choice. But now when you want to attack the officer because of an accident due to poor training, now you want to use that same, well, emotions were high, but she should have known. Wait. You can't eat your cake and have it too. If her receiving bad training, for which the department should be liable to, right? If the department was giving substandard training, thereby motivating her to be a substandard officer, then both are responsible. You see what I'm saying? And so, when you look at that, these same emotions were high. I then ask of this chief, when was the last time you have been certified? When was the last time you have been under the influence of the real stress that you are judging? Do you understand the difference of training stress versus real world stress? Because they are different. You will often find that if you piss off enough chiefs like I have, and don't get me to pull out my emails to prove it, right? Because I still have them. If you've pissed off enough chiefs like I have, you will find out that there are more chiefs just like Arredondo in Minneapolis. It's been many years since they've made an arrest. Things have changed since then. You will find gun control advocates saying the Constitution is a living and breathing document and the Second Amendment should change with the times, because in no way did the founding fathers ever envision that we would be holding M134s or M249s or AR-15s. They love the AR-15 high-powered assault rifles. Well, wait a minute. If, in fact, your argument is true under a hypothetical, then police training should and does and did change. People who you fight with or resist against you, they have changed since the 80s, since the 90s, the early 2000s, 2010, and now. Things change. Training should change. Well, I've been on the department I've heard that before. I've been on the department for 25 years. And Kim Porter is the training officer. Well, let's look at that. First of all, let's talk facts. This is an old picture of Kim Potter. This is not even a newer picture of Kim Potter, right? So let's talk about that first, right? Old picture, old picture, old picture. I can't reemphasize that enough. Secondly, I want you to understand there is a difference between a training officer and a trainer. Training officer and a trainer. You can be a training officer in the department who is responsible for one's training, making sure they get to training, making sure they receive the training, right? You can be the person responsible for that and not be a trainer. Then when we look at the department trainers, there is a difference between a department trainer who may only train people every year, right? And that's 364 days have passed since you last trained someone, which means 364 days of new events, new incidents, things that have taken precedent, things that have occupied your brain space. And before that 365th day where you have to, where you have to train that department person or the department members, you wait until the 355th day to refresh your mind on the curriculum that someone told you you had to say, right? Someone told you had to say, and then you remember enough just to get them through. And then there's a professional trainer like me, or better than me. I'm humble. I know what I know. I know I'm still a student in these things. But then you got people who are professional trainers who after that 365th day, they are going to train every day up until the next 365th day. Right? Now, I'm reading some of these comments that have been blocked and held for review that BS. You had what? This makes no sense. This lady better get locked the F up. This is deplorable. I'm not here to have you agree with me. I'm not here for your disagreement. I'm not here for your like. I'm not here for your dislike. I'd like it if you share the page and you like this page, but if you hate Mike Brown, that is fine. I am here to educate you so that when life puts that dot on your brain, or when life, I'm not using the right quote. When life shoves that pencil in your hand, you will have a dot on your brain to connect. That's it. That's all I'm here to do. The best that I can do is give advice. If people don't listen, let adversity teach them. Give advice. If people don't listen, let adversity teach them. I really hope that you all have learned something from this. As I've said before, I advocate for a strong side carry, support side carry, support side use. Support side carry, support side use. The pro If you always get to use the taser and or practice use, you are less likely to confuse the taser versus the firearm under real stress, not training stress, real stress. Training stress, you're just getting a grade. You're getting a pass or fail. You're getting a certificate. Real stress, it's your life. Another pro, retraining the brain to form a new habit, meaning more training, more repetitions, and failures learned by the student to enforce the need for more training to increase the likelihood of not confusing the firearm versus the taser under real stress. Now there is where I agree with you even more. Swag Mommy? I can't even say your name. Swag Mammy BB on YouTube. They need more training, period. You are 1000% correct. You are 1000% correct. Look at this video I end with this. He goes from strong side use, strike that, support side use, to strong side. I'm confused. I'm saying it wrong. He's going from support side carry to strong side use. Support side carry, strong side use. No. Look at this. Look at this. Can't make this up. Look at this. Support side carry, strong side use. Look at that. No. Support side carry, strong side use. No. I am an advocate for support side carry, support side use. Why? Because I understand how the brain works. I understand how habits are formed. I understand how people are trained and the likelihood under real stress, not training stress, but real stress, the likelihood of you performing a certain tactic. And all I can do is show you. If it was put in the holster for support side use and support side carry, if I were to grab it with my strong hand, look at how I would pull it out. Look at how I would pull it out. There you go. Support side use, support side carry. Totally different side from the firearm. Totally different side from the firearm. There you go. Firearm on one side, taser on the other. See? That will increase the likelihood of not confusing it. All I can do is give advice. If people don't listen, let adversity teach them. I hope you learned something from this. I really do. This is Instructor Mike, and you've been trained. Follow me on Facebook at Mike Brown Instructor Mike. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Yes, Mike said it. Subscribe to this YouTube page, Instructor Mike. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell for notifications. I appreciate you all so much. Go to Amazon, purchase my children's book, What I Tell Myself First, Children's Real-World Affirmations of Self-Esteem. Let's start to create better children, better people who could think with their brains because they understand the concept of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I end with this. So, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to simply answer yes or no. You are willing to die to protect a loved one, yes or no? Yes. You're not? Shit. Okay. Fuck him, I guess. I said a loved one. I didn't say I hated him. I said a loved one. No, here we go. Yes or no? You are willing to die to protect those you don't know in the public? No. You see how those answers change? You can have some people who are intellectuals who can understand everything about the law and how to theoretically protect the rights of the American citizens, but people who think like that are not always willing to give up their life in that defense or for that belief. Maybe that's a part of our problem.